Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad RR-edha bin Tamidi. 264285. Today I will present a study in Alliance Bank Malaysia. Credit risk and its determinant. This research purposely to determine the data correlation with the credit risk of the Alliance Bank Malaysia. The focus is to understanding the natural behavior of the internal factor and the external factor. So the credit risk existent. The method we're being used is in the research is statically and regressioning technique in which determine a significant level for the correlation of the dependent data and with the independent data. This will allow for more consideration on the credit risk for other banker in the Malaysia and may contribute on future research and decision making. Alliance Bank Malaysia Berhad. Alliance Bank was established in Malaysia on 1982 under the name Malaysian French Bank Berhad under under Malaysia Malaysia banking sector. After the succession of merging seven financial institutions in the Malaysia, the bank presumed the present name, which is the Alliance Bank name. Alliance Bank successfully to be listed on the official list of the main market of Bursa Malaysia on the 2017. And Alliance Bank Malaysia is focusing on consumer demand with a dynamic offering end-to-end financing solution. SME bank, wholesale banking, Islamic banking, and stock borrowing platform, and contribute service to the financial community over the past 5 decades. Alliance Bank Malaysia managed to record a revenue growth of 3.2% to RM1.262 billion ringgit Malaysia on 2019, in which putting Alliance Bank among the top 3 in the industry banking. Okay, we continue with the problem statement. Credit risk is major problem in the banking industry since by considering how huge the portion of the loan inside the accounting, which will result the bankruptcy if the leverage of the loan didn't treat right by considering how bank mechanism is fully relying on the pool of fund. Pool of costs create a distortion. In other words, we need to find a way by understanding the relationship of the factor and internal and external factor that can be influenced credit risk to create a tool that possibly to treat this leverage that if they occur, therefore before they occur, to avoid from their occur. Therefore, if management fail to use this tool, possibly will to be more difficult in handling the credit risk. To be more precise, this research will be conduct will be more research will conduct will be more proper, and thus this research will be conduct to be more proper, and thus governance action can be taken in handling the credit risk. Research research objective. This report are aimed to determine the factor relationship with the Credit Risk Alliance Bank Malaysia. The objective are to determine the internal factor that may have correlation with the credit risk. To understand the influence of the external factor may have against the credit risk. To examine the internal and external factor that had potential influence on credit risk. So I continue with the research question. Is there any relationship between the internal factor and with the credit risk? Is there any relationship between the external factor against the credit risk? And lastly is So is there a relationship between internal and external, both of them, with the credit risk? Okay, literature review. Credit risk will be the determined data in which non-performing loan will be to illustrate the credit risk existing of the credit risk. And then the independent data will be internal, external, and also can be both of them. It will be both of them. Internal factor. Okay, we continue with the factor. Capital adequacy ratio is a percentage of the backing holding the capital to be used to protect the depositor money. Taiwan leverage ratio is method to judge the asset liquidity based on bank on core capital and total asset. Risk-weighted asset is minimum requirement level capital must be holding by the bank to reduce the risk asset getting insolvency. Risk sector of a loan, the risk issue to loan to someone with a low credit score, and debt to asset ratio is the tool to determine percentage of the asset that actually being financed with debt. Example is been buying asset using lender. Debt to equity ratio, a ratio that have much percentage asset belonging to debtor equity holder. Liquidity ratio, financial metric used to determine borrower ability to pay the debt. ROA is to investigate the intensity of the capital to focus on investment to the company whereby bank focusing on the pool of fund. Asset management efficient to review the performance of the company generating revenue from the asset with the efficient loan to asset to scale the total outstanding loan toward asset and liquidity of the company. Natural law of asset to determine asset based from the log logarithm function. In other words, number must be raised to get another number. GDP growth is a measure to determine rapid economy. Was is in Malaysia. Um, to all this one is the already external factor. Sorry. Inflation rate is a percentage of increasing a good price overall of the Malaysia, which is linked negative with the employment if economy is normal in normal condition. In normal condition only. Money supplies, amount of money, as well liquid agreement of the an asset of the country. Output gap is a gap between potential output with the actual output of the country. So we could continue with methodology. So we going to be a sampling procedure and the technique. So using the Alliance Bank Malaysia sample that will represent the whole bank sector in Malaysia. Sample only. We will use as a sample of a bank in Malaysia. The data collection are based on the Alliance Bank Malaysia annual report from the 2050 to 2090. Since we can only get external factor from the 2050 and 2090, so the study will be from the start of the year. To obtain through the Busa Malaysia, the focus on the study will be depend variable to use correlation with the independent variable which is leverage and capital structure, liquidity risk, performance and liability, asset management efficiency, bank size and standard factor. Okay, statistical technique. Sample data are calculated using true annual report of the 5 years, 2050 and 2090. Data obtained from the financial highlight, statement of the comprehensive income, statement of the financial position, and statement by chairman to gain the internal factor. The external factor are determined by the economy of the Malaysia and the bank negara. SPSS data analysis. is which is independent. Been studying using SPS to the dependent variable. The output is supposed to reflect the correlation between these two variables. Correlation by using so you see the table. The correlation by looking at the significant level output gap without doubt have a huge influence was positively on the credit risk, which the most crucial can be will be the most crucial variable, most crucial factor for the management to manage any sort of risk related to output gap. The reduction of the credit risk value when the output gap is increased. So it can be interpreted as when output gap is increased with the significant value of the 0.009, which below than 0.0505. So there's the condition. So they show how much the influence. So NS band measures should be careful with the output gap. The second strong influence from the listed factor in the risk weighted asset with a significant value of 0.074, which is nearest to 0.05, is a manage is a risk weighted asset. So management can use risk weighted asset to reduce the credit risk by increasing the risk weighted asset value. So from the model summary, you can see here the non-performing loan over the total loan used as a dependent variable to represent credit rates. The method of the being used. The method I been used as calculating variable in the linear regression using the method enter, which more advanced than correction by predicting the dependent variable output. Therefore, the species choose the most significant when all the data have been inserted output gap. This sector of the loan, GDP growth, natural law, asset. The most interesting part is a risk sector of a loan being selected but only after the internal and external are combined. So when I study using the internal only or using external only, risk sector of the loan never show up. Eh, R value is a 1.0. Determine that the all elements in selected are fits with the linear regression method. Unfortunately, duping wasn't created a huge problem with the 0.333, which is huge autocorrection had been occur. In conclusion, is specifically mentioned that credit risk, leverage, and capital structure, liquidity ratio, performance, profit, profitability, asset management efficiency, and the bank size are the ratio that usually owned by the bank, especially in banking sector. Thus, Alliance Bank Malaysia are research based on are research based and face credit risk from the banking sector company in Malaysia. According to data in Chapter 4, coefficient model, it should be analyzed in there are four independent variables which have a huge significant have relationship variable which are just now the risk weighted asset, the output gap, and also continue with the um, how should I say it? And the rest of the from the model summary. And due to the limitation of data resource, test certificate on data analysis, like there's no ANOVA table since the SPSS failed to analysis the data to generate the output to the unnovated or whatever. Therefore, the some model are not significant. That's all. Thank you.